Welcome to Wizcast, your go-to podcast for all things SAT and ACT. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Kai. Today, we're diving into some major changes coming to the ACT that every student and parent needs to know about.
That's right, Kai. The ACT is getting a significant makeover beginning in 2025, and it's going to create a very different testing experience for students.
Absolutely. If you're planning to take the ACT after April 2025, you'll be facing a totally different version than the one students have been taking for years.
Let's break down the timeline first. The enhanced version will debut for the National Online ACT in April 2025.
And for those who prefer the traditional pen and paper format or are international test takers, these changes will roll out a bit later, starting September 2025.
So what exactly is changing, Kai? Because from what I've seen, it's pretty substantial.
It really is. The new ACT test structure has been completely restructured. The English section will now have 50 questions in 35 minutes, math will have 45 questions in 50 minutes, and reading will have 36 questions in 40 minutes.
And here's the biggest shocker. The science section, which has always been a core part of the ACT, is now optional. It'll have 40 questions in 40 minutes if students choose to take it.
The writing section remains optional as well, with one essay prompt to complete in 40 minutes.
What strikes me most is how much shorter the overall test will be. The 3 mandatory sections, English, math, and reading, will now take a total of 125 minutes, compared to 195 minutes in the current format.
That's a 70-minute reduction. Students will definitely appreciate less test fatigue.
Speaking of test preparation, this is a perfect time to mention Wizako's live online classes for the SAT and ACT. Our tutors include graduates from US top 20 MBA programs and IIMs who are already adapting their teaching strategies to these new test formats.
Absolutely. When tests undergo such significant changes, having expert guidance becomes even more valuable. Wizako's personalized attention and updated curriculum can really help students navigate these changes confidently.
Another major change is that there are fewer questions overall, 44 fewer questions across the test. The 3 core sections now contain a total of 131 questions, down from 175 in the previous version.
And students get more time per question across all sections. That's huge, Sophia. I think this reflects a shift toward valuing thoughtful answers over speed.
Definitely. It gives students additional time to process information and demonstrate their knowledge. It's less about racing through questions and more about showing what you know.
With the science section becoming optional, the composite score calculation is changing too. It will now be calculated using only the 3 core tests: English, mathematics, and reading.
Right, and for students who do take the science test, that score will be reported separately and won't factor into the composite score.
Despite all these changes, several aspects remain the same. The scoring scale is still 1 to 36, which maintains consistency with historical data.
And composite scores from the older ACT format won't be revised after the rollout of the new ACT, so historical scores remain valid for college applications.
The ACT will still be available in both pen and paper format and as an online test, giving students flexibility in choosing their preferred testing method.
And unlike some other standardized tests that have moved to adaptive formats, the ACT will remain a linear test where all students receive the same questions in the same order.
You know, Sophia, with the reduction in questions and increased time per question, I wonder if the new ACT might place greater emphasis on accuracy than speed.
That's a great point. It might also mean the questions could get a bit more challenging. Students may need to focus more on developing critical thinking skills and analyzing complex information rather than simply memorizing facts or formulas.
Which is why preparation is going to be even more important with this new format. Wizako's live online classes offer that two-way interactive experience that really helps students adapt to new testing formats.
Absolutely. Their personal attention approach means students can get their specific questions answered about these changes, which is invaluable during a transition period like this.
Let's talk about some potential benefits for students taking the new ACT.
Well, reduced test fatigue is a big one. Students might see improved performance, especially in later sections of the test.
More time per question could result in more thoughtful responses and fewer careless errors.
Making the science section optional allows students to play to their strengths, which is always a good thing in standardized testing.
And the shorter overall duration makes the test less intimidating and potentially reduces test anxiety.
But there's a flip side. With fewer questions overall, each question now carries more weight in determining the final score.
That's true. Let's dive into some frequently asked questions students might have about these changes. A common one is, Will colleges treat the new ACT scores differently than the old format?
Great question. Colleges are being informed about the changes, but since the scoring scale remains the same, 1 to 36, most will continue to accept ACT scores as before. Some may adjust their policies regarding the now optional science section, particularly for STEM programs.
Another common question, should I still take the science section if it's optional?
It really depends on your strengths and college goals. If you're applying to STEM programs or if science is a strong subject for you, taking this section can showcase additional skills. Students should research whether their target colleges recommend or require the science section.
What about preparation materials? Can students still use old ACT practice resources?
While the core content hasn't changed dramatically, the format definitely has. It's advisable to use updated materials that reflect the new question counts and timing. Look for preparation resources that have been revised specifically for the 2025 format.
I've also heard students asking about how the new ACT compares to the SAT now.
With the science section now optional, the ACT's core structure of English, math, and reading more closely resembles the SAT. However, there are still significant differences. The ACT remains a linear test, while the digital SAT is adaptive, and there are still distinct differences in content emphasis and question style.
What about the writing section? Has that changed at all?
No, the writing section itself hasn't undergone structural changes. It remains optional with the same 40-minute duration and still consists of one essay prompt. The scoring and evaluation criteria remain unchanged, but students should always check the specific requirements of their target colleges, as some may require or recommend completing this section despite it being optional.
For students who have already taken the old ACT, should they retake it in the new format?
If you're satisfied with your current score, there's probably no need to retake the test. However, if you found the science section challenging or struggled with time management on the longer format, the new ACT structure might work to your advantage.
The changes to the ACT really represent a significant evolution in standardized testing. By streamlining the test while maintaining its fundamental purpose and scoring system, the ACT aims to provide a more focused assessment experience.
Absolutely. And as students prepare for this new format, specialized preparation resources like Wizako's live online classes can be incredibly valuable. Our updated curriculum is specifically designed for the enhanced test format.
Our personal attention approach and result-oriented methods can help students navigate these changes confidently and perform at their best on test day.
At the end of the day, while the structure is changing, the core skills being tested remain the same: reading comprehension, mathematical reasoning, and English language proficiency.
That's right. With proper preparation and understanding of the new format, students can approach the enhanced ACT with confidence.
Well, that wraps up our discussion on the new ACT test structure. We hope this information helps students prepare effectively for these upcoming changes.
If you found this episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe to Wizcast for more insights on SAT and ACT preparation. And check out Wizako's live online classes at wzko.cc/live for personalized guidance on navigating these standardized tests.
Thanks for listening to Wizcast. I'm Sophia.
And I'm Kai. Until next time, happy studying.